Hello and welcome everyone to a very special conversation with someone that I really admire, and not just me, the entire world admires for her talent and the kind of person she is. Today we have Paramita Banerjee with us, who's a renowned designer. And this Poila Boishakh, she has come up with something that Bengal had forgotten for a while. Thank you so much, Paramita, for joining us today. And you look lovely.
It just so happened that we were meaning to converse on this today, and I thought, why not wear a sari which will take me from morning to evening? And I have an event in the evening, so I'm going to just walk right in here.
Tell us more about the collection, how it started, what's the craft tradition?
So it was basically a revisitation of a very old motif, the Shankha and the Poddo, which was I would say, 150-year-old Bengal Taant Sari. And we chanced upon it many years back when I wasn't in the field at all. I had picked up a sari from Prague Council of West Bengal because it had belonged apparently to Ruby Pal Chaudhary and her family. Yeah. And the fabric was slightly thicker khadi or slightly thicker cotton. But what really got on to me was the motif, the Shankho and the Poddo, as in the conch and the lotus, Vishnu and his consort Lakshmi. Yeah. Which meant prosperity. And what we did, we haven't revived, we have revisited. So we've woven this into a very fine count Bengal cotton, hundreds count Bengal muslin, which I don't see a lot of weavers doing nowadays. But this hundreds count Bengal cotton was what Bengal was known for. Most of our mothers and grandmothers, if they had owned saris, they would have worn it in this count. Patla, Norum, Malmal, yeah, this was what Bengal was really known for. And that is what we've gone back to really. Otherwise, it's a very simple classic sari. We have them in 6 colors. But on the occasion of Poila Boishakh, we've revisited this sari in the Shankha and the Poddo. That's what it is, yeah, essentially.
That's lovely. The Bengal cotton that you mentioned, there's a reason for it. Sometimes people think that Bengalis have this kind of aesthetic, which is a little matte, which is a little muted, what people say.
Yeah.
But a lot of it has to do with the climate, isn't it? Especially around this time. So how does that influence your Poila Boishakh collection?
Poila Boishakh for me had always been about Notun Jama Kapur, right? It had always been about new garments. It's ironic that we discuss Poila Boishakh, have a festival or have a holiday around it. But when we were growing up, I think Poila Boishakh really meant new clothes. Yeah. And I think that was one of the only occasions, or one of the 2 occasions rather, the other one being Durga Puja, that we got clothes, new clothes. But now it's like we buy clothes all the time whenever there's a sale or whenever we fancy something. So I think Poila Boishakh also, that Hal Khata concept, because as you know, we also do our Khata notebooks, right? So that was also started in memory of the Hal Khata. That one accounting year gets over and the new accounting year starts. So that was intrinsic of what a Navabarsha was to Bengalis, yeah. And that Hal Khata and wearing new saris, I think that also was reminiscent of that timeline for me when we started this.
And your work focuses a lot on collaborating with artisan clusters. You being a designer who has been a pioneer in this field and who has been an inspiration. Last time you spoke on our handloom talks, that video was watched by a lot of emerging designers and they draw a lot of inspiration from your work. So how was this collection conceived and brought to life?
The Shonkhopoddo collection has 6 hand-woven Bengal cotton saris. What we've done is we've identified the colors which would go no matter what your region, no matter where you are really. We are basically celebrating something which we had forgotten in the Bengal repertoire of weaves. And as a designer or as somebody who I would want youngsters to look up to, what we've really made it a point is we are not trying to always think out of the box. There are times when your tradition or your heritage or your past can get you so much inspiration. And I think that's what we really need. We don't need new thoughts every single day. We don't need new out of the box concepts every single day, but something which would be a link to our roots, to our past, and being very contemporary. Like the sari I'm wearing, like I said, it's in your honor today completely. I'm just wearing it with a linen blouse. And like I said, this is one of the only linen blouses I have, which is in white. And I feel it goes with all colors. Yeah, it goes with this because it sort of matches with the border, etc. So this is what I want to tell the youngsters also. Look into your wardrobe, recreate, bring out things, and evolve. Really, we don't need new things every day. We don't need new designs every day. So I think that has always been my inspiration when we work with Eva clusters. It's always been a touch of the past. How can I sort of sandwich it with the present and give a very contemporary edge to it? Yeah. Which is why our clothes are, we've been told they're very global. I find them very global in terms of silhouettes, in terms of the fabric, in terms of cuts.
Everyone wants the youngsters also to embrace heritage all the time. That is definitely a goal for everyone. But I also hear that sometimes designers are forgetting that there is another population above maybe 55 who have missed several decades when there was a lot of westernization among our clothes. So, among your clients, what do you see the proportion being among different demographics?
It's amazing you mention it simply because our demographics have always been 45, 50 upwards. The mature, enriched women who know what they want, they will feel sweaty and hot if it's something synthetic. They will feel hot and sweaty if it's silk worn in summer. So I think they are really the biggest critiques. That's really how it should be. Everybody needs to know what works for them, the kind of textiles that work for them, and why not. So I would rather they know what they want, they challenge us, and they critique us in the process. That also keeps us on our edge. What we do have, Shumana, youngsters pick up our accessories a lot. Like, we do our Jhola bags, right? We do our Jhola bags from fabric remnants. We do our khata notebooks. We do our keychain holders from leftover fabric. So those have gotten the young generation really.
A lot of Gen Z people, I love talking to them. They're saying that, we have started sort of rebelling at offices because most offices, even now, it's especially if you work in the tech sector, you have to dress a certain way, which is most often wearing synthetic blazers and pantsuits. And they're like, no, we are rebelling, not just ethnic days. We want to wear workwear, comfortable Indian workwear, and that includes a lot of saris. So I think your collection fits very well. And like you said, you can just go transition from a day event to a night event.
And it's messy, right? Like, look at me. It's like worn in. Like the entire sari, I've been up and about in my floor with the production, with sitting at the floor, or it's just so versatile. And what's very interesting is, so these are the sari colors, right? Each of them come in their jhola bags. Yeah. Yeah. Each of them come in their own jhola bag, and it also has a pair of shakha with it.
And are you honoring the Noboborsho tradition of Kherorkhata also with your notebooks?
The same Shankho and the Poddo has come about in Kherorkhatas as well, which we're going to launch online in I think a few weeks time. So these are our Kherorkhatas made from paper inside. It's a very good quality, good GSM paper. It's stitched down the same way the Kherorkhatas used to be, and it's tied with a. That's the Kherorkhatas. And so that's the bunch of Kherorkhatas. Yeah, and also this was supposed to be launched with the sharis, but because the stitching needs to be made in a certain way, so this is how the Kherorkhatas would look.